the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Hello, God bless America, and welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Freedom of Thought is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, Audible, Double Twist, all different kinds of applications that I probably don't even know about, but great to be on board with you once again today on the Freedom of Thought podcast. Apologize for the randomness of the release of the shows. It is what it is right now. The releases are going to be random, but one way or another, we'll get my point across, and I'd like you to get your point across as well, if you could. Greatly appreciate it. Always appreciating Mark Carlson for commenting on the page. Facebook.com/Freedom of Thought 1776, at Freedom of Thou 76 because it doesn't fit on Twitter, and at Freedom of Thought 1776 on Parler. So since Parler is back, so get your thoughts out there. Interact with me. It'll only make the show better. Of course, again, from time to time, I'll get into some pretty interesting, out there, off-the-wall topics that I'd like to get into, but just haven't gotten around to those yet. Most of the time, I've been kind of talking about the politics of today and just the absolute nonsense that's never going to stop. Most recent release of the episode, in episode 11, I was talking about the Super Bowl propaganda and all the BS that was getting shoved down our throats throughout that entire game. It's fun to watch sports. It's just a shame how it's become a platform for constant intimidation, constant BS, intimidating people with the color of their skin or whatever the heck. Like, I'm this, so you have to bow down to me because this happened in the past, or I'm this religion, so you don't dare support Donald Trump. You don't dare be a Christian or tell people you're a Christian. You don't dare say Merry Christmas, or I'll get you fired. I'll get you banned from flying and traveling. Stuff like that. It's absolute nonsense, and it's nonstop. Mark Carlson was posting Darth Vader holding up one of the soldiers there. I forget the name of that character, but obviously Darth Vader from Star Wars. And it said, "Where's your mask?" Because yes, one of the I guess it was a stormtrooper wasn't wearing his mask, right? It's kind of funny. So he's making fun of how what's going on out there, where people have to wear a mask everywhere all the time. And Dr. Fauci, as they say on Truth to Ponder, Dr. Fauci continuing to move the goalpost. Like, okay, we're there. No, we're not there. We have to do this longer now, and we have to wear more masks. Where at the beginning, Dr. Fauci said no mask at all. Constant BS and propaganda that never stops. Absolute BS and propaganda that never stops. Today I'm going to focus a bit more on that certain race and religion conversation. You can kind of guess let's just say Ilhan Omar is like a perfect image of it all. The race and religion conversation. She says, of course, Ilhan Omar locally here in the Twin Cities. I hail from Golden Valley, Minnesota, which is a western suburb of Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is where Ilhan Omar's politics come from. Ilhan Omar, and of course, she's originally from Somalia, but she says she called the police a cancer that needs to be eradicated. Just think about that. Think about that. The police are a cancer that needs to be eradicated. And she got reelected? She got reelected how? What sane human being would reelect this person unless they literally wanted to maybe take over? Literally like take over society, tear down more buildings, tear down more of everything, burn more buildings, loot stores, whatever the heck they want, basically, as long as they get their way, one way or another, they will get their way. And that seems to be the direction of this city, which is terrifying for us all. Mark Carlson, out of Iowa, says criminals often tout, and this is, of course, on the Facebook page, criminals often tout that same statement. Think about this. Our public leaders are also involved in the education of our children. In this case, it's Minnesota. So when are they going to guide students away from careers in criminal justice and related fields? Why not close the institutions that educate and train future law enforcement? What about those educators that guided the police officers through the years of training? Can we assume they are a cancer too? And where is this cancer talk by Ilhan Omar is the support of our colleagues? Like, where in this cancer talk by Ilhan Omar is the support from her colleagues? Do they agree with her point? If not, why do they stay silent? Exactly. They just ignore it. Why do they stay silent? Look, I want to see the list of issues that supports her argument. Yep, I want to see it. I'd like to see that too. I want to see her prove on a whiteboard since I clearly don't get it. Apologize for jumping around like this. Maybe a graph with charts with a reference to a detailed index problems can help me see how our men and women in blue who do so much for our communities in and out of uniform are a cancer. Because I don't get it. How these public employees are a cancer that needs to be eradicated is unbelievable, unpatriotic, un-American, and more like the work of an enemy of our community and an advocate for evil. I don't believe it. I don't believe her. Exactly. I mean, I couldn't have said it better, honestly. I mean, that was awesome. Thank you, Mark Carlson, out of Iowa. Exactly. I mean, just think of what their agenda most likely is. Because what would police do? They stop crime. They would stop any type of insurrection on the country. There's no police. What do you think Ilhan Omar and people that might support her would like? To take over? Because that's the kind of conversation I continue to hear. This is where it's freedom of thought. And people out there might think, oh my God, listen to what he's saying. What is he saying? You really think they want to take over? And just who do you mean by they? Who do you mean by they, Mr. White Supremacist? I'm not a white supremacist for calling into question these actions and these words of Ilhan Omar and others that support her and agree with this type of conversation. Of all races, there are people of all races and all colors that agree with her 100%. Just think about their mindset. Do they love this country? Do they love their own city? Or do they want to see the whole thing just kind of overrun because, well, we had it coming to us? We had it coming to us because of our white supremacy and systemic racism that never ends. That never ends. It's never going to end. It will never end. We'll be wearing masks forever, too, by the way. They're going to keep pushing the goalpost until hell freezes over. And even when you wear the vaccine, guess what? You still got to wear. Even when you take the vaccine, you still got to wear a mask. Think about that. You still would have to wear a mask even after you take the vaccine. And then there's all kinds of insane, crazy scientific items inside that vaccine that scare the crap out of us. All kinds of information out there that I encourage you to research and look up. I'm not as knowledgeable on it as I would like to be, but genetic enhancing, genetic changing, it's crazy to imagine that this type of technology exists, but it can literally change your DNA. And it sounds just like the Nephilim, leading into, which ultimately led to the flood of the earth, and of course how Noah and his family were the only people that were not contaminated by the Nephilim. Nephilim, of course, are fallen angels. Obviously fallen angels that followed Lucifer to earth at the fall, when it was the fall of Lucifer, which ended up being the fall of Satan and blah, blah, blah. They betrayed God and they became Lucifer's followers, basically. They were angels. They were regular angels, and then they, as it says in Scripture, these sons of God, so to speak, went into the daughters of men. And, those women got pregnant from these demons, or fallen angels, and their children were half demons / half men. Can you imagine? Half men and women. And in the business we call them Nephilim. And that's where the giants in the land come from. Something I'd like to continue to read about and research. But it's some crazy stuff, and that's the real true reason of the flood, because man was no longer man. It was something else. Something very sinister, something very creepy. Quite frankly, probably most likely what was on Earth before Adam and Eve. Because the Earth was most likely flooded more than once, because the Earth was covered with water at the creation of man. The recreation, in my opinion, the recreation. It wasn't man at the time, obviously. It was those fallen angels, so to speak. Maybe before that they were angels and they became fallen angels after that. That's more of a theory of mine. They call it the gap theory. Like in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and then the earth became without form and void. Became, meaning there was a dateless past. The earth was created the first time, and there was an extended period. We don't know how long, if it was billions of years, hundreds of thousands of years, hundreds of millions of years, that there were civilizations on this planet. And then when Lucifer changed, and Michael defeated Lucifer through God's help, of course, and the angels were fallen along with Lucifer, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. The earth was nothing but water, which sounds very familiar to what happened during the time of the flood. The earth was covered with water. So think of how many faces this earth may have had in the past. All kinds of interesting evidence that support the atmosphere was different on this planet even before that. How did I get into all this? It's fascinating, but it's because of, that's why it's called freedom of thought. It's because of when I started talking about Dr. Fauci and this genetic, strange, what do they call them? Nanobots inside of the vaccine. It is some of the scariest, strangest things I've ever heard, but it's what I've been hearing about. Obviously, it's not proven 100%, but then again, so many different outlets have been talking about it. And we are in that time. And they're talking about, it's frightening to think about. I better kind of get off of it at the moment. I got sidetracked a bit getting into that. But to kind of back to the topic I've been getting into, and of course a conversation with somebody I know very well, I'll just leave it at that, who works at the airport and deals with a lot of crap today. They're frustrated with just certain types of people that think they run everything, and they do zero work, and they give everyone else orders, and they take advantage of their race and their religion all the time. This person apparently got in some kind of altercation with the customers, and I don't mean the friend, I mean this other person that they work with, that they know well, and that they know their practices, their behavior, their attitude, how they take advantage of their race and their religion on a regular basis. This older lady was a customer being waited on by this person, this person we'll call them, this lady, this girl, whatever, younger lady, and the person said, "Go Trump." Because, they just simply said, "Go Trump." Maybe because there was already an altercation starting up. And then this woman, this girl, somehow, some way, had the authority to ban these people from flying for life. I mean, I don't know how you can get away with that. She called the manager over and had them banned for life. The manager agreed with them. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Banned them for life just for simply saying, "Go Trump," for being a Trump supporter. Is that not fascism? I mean, you don't have to agree. I hate Joe Biden. I strongly disagree with Joe Biden, Obama, Clinton. You could go on forever. Chuck Schmuck Schumer, Shifty Schiff. You could go on forever. Brennan, all these people that have done so much damage to this country for so long. And you could name thousands and thousands of others that have done so much damage to this country. The fabric of this nation has just been torn apart by these people. But would I ban them for life from traveling? Just simply because they support Clinton, Obama, Biden? Would I want them banned for life? No. So what right does this person have to do that? It's off the charts. I mean, this girl, her behavior should be in jail, quite frankly, for being able to do such a thing. I mean, but I don't know. Who am I to say? But to me, it just sounds like utter fascism. And these same people call themselves Antifa, or they support groups that are, they support Antifa, that type of thing. I don't understand it. Just who's the fascist here? I think it's you guys out there. You're the radical leftists out there are the true fascists. Just like Fascist Book and Heil Twitter and all that. You could just go on forever with all these groups. Banning me, my Timberwolves Explosion Twitter account, for what seems to be forever, no matter what I do to try to just bring it back for whatever I said that I don't even remember what I said or did or tweeted. it's been unable to return. And I'm not sure what I did, what I said. There has been no information given, and that Twitter account has never came back. To me, that's pure fascism. You don't have to agree with what I say, but to block somebody forever? I mean, it's a podcast. It's a basketball podcast. Luckily, the show's still going, and I recreated the Twitter account and everything. But obviously, it's a much smaller following now because of that. Luckily, the numbers have been okay. Obviously, the team hasn't been so good. The local team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, so their ratings aren't always going to be good for that. Obviously, not too many people watch the games. But that's how that goes. There I go getting into sports again. But it's just situations that have come up where people could literally get banned for life simply for being a Trump supporter. Anybody that says that's just hearsay, that's just nonsense, nobody's doing that. Actually, they are. They are doing it. Let's just say my source is a very good source that I would trust, that I trust very much, actually, that this truly did happen. This happened at the airport. Banned for life from traveling for simply saying, go Trump. That's off the charts. I don't understand why anybody could be banned for life for saying, go Trump. How about, like, I'm going to blow up every plane or something? That might be something you might want to ban somebody from flying, maybe. but maybe vet them out first. But at the same time, yes, they probably should be banned from flying. But for saying, go Trump, you can never fly the rest of your life. I'm just blown away by that. Anybody have thoughts on that? Please let me know. Comment on the Facebook page if you could. Comment on the Twitter. Comment on the Parler. Whichever you could. Greatly appreciate it always. I've been all over the place again. That's just how this goes. That's why it's called Freedom of Thought. It's not an overly organized show at this stage. It will be at some point soon, obviously. I like to have a structure of things to talk about, but it's general, just kind of politics right now. General politics, because politics are going to be all over the place. People getting banned, and then I go off into the creation and all that, and the weird situations with Nephium, and I have reason to believe that Nephiums are back. I think they are, unfortunately. It wouldn't surprise me one bit, and in fact, that's probably why we're so close to the end right now, the end times, Revelation. Those of you that believe in the rapture, those of you that don't, one way or another, we're very close to the Great Tribulation, and there have been many tribulations throughout the generations. There are always tribulations. It's just, when is the final one? When is the 7-year tribulation? The real, true, final tribulation, which will involve the Antichrist and all that. I think we're right on the doorstep. I hate to tell you. I mean, we're there. Years ago, my mom used to say back in the late 90s that she thought that we're pretty much there. And I kept thinking, no, the technology is not there yet. The technology is just not there yet for a quote-unquote New World Order, one world government. Now, that technology is absolutely there. It's absolutely there. Smart devices can track you anytime you want. And they're talking about this, I can't describe it properly. It's some kind of it's a digital tattoo. That's what it is. Digital tattoo. What does that sound like? What does a digital tattoo sound like? Just think. Read Revelation. Does that not sound like the mark of the beast? I don't think I'm some crazy conspiracy theorist thinking that, Bigfoot's walking around in the forest here in Golden Valley and all that. Though there are foxes, which is pretty cool. Foxes are cool. In Golden Valley, you think Golden Valley, Minnesota, foxes? Yeah. Yep, that's proof. I'm an eyewitness. I saw one today with a torn up tail. That poor guy, he's been walking around my parents' neighborhood for years now. Half of his tail's it's not ripped off, but there's no fur on part of it. I don't know what happened there. I have no idea. But it's not a conspiracy theory to believe that we're right there. It truly isn't. A digital tattoo? That sounds like the mark of the beast to me, doesn't it? So it might be something you don't really see until there's like a scanner above it, and then, there it is. He bears the mark. She bears the mark. There you go. Go ahead, buy and sell. Yep, you're in. It's like an ID, basically. Yep. She bears the mark. A digital tattoo. When I hear that, I think, oh my God, there it is. And that digital tattoo is related to, have you been vaccinated or not yet? Does that not scare the crap out of you? That makes me sweat. It sends shivers down my spine to think that we're right on the verge of that. I mean, what else could it be? And, well, that's why in Revelation it says, blessed are those that have read this book because you have this extra knowledge. Where people might think, it's just a vaccine, dude. I mean, what are you talking about? It's just a vaccine, and you need it. You have to have it before you can continue to go to sports games, before you can travel, before eventually you can do any type of business. And then it's like, wait. We can't do business without a stinking vaccine from a flu virus, a flu shot. That's all it is a flu shot, but of course this one's much more detailed and got much more added crap in it than any vaccine that's ever existed on this earth. It's amazing to think what kind of technology is out there. Nanobites. And then again, it'll give you a digital tattoo. The mark of the beast. The mark of the beast. Wow. I might be, the odds of that being wrong, a digital tattoo, and combining with the mark of the beast, I don't know. It sounds like the mark of the beast to me. And most people would have never guessed that a vaccine could possibly be the mark of the beast. I'm not trying to scare people. I'm not trying to freak people out, but be aware. Be ready. That's just all I got to say about that. That's why we call it the freedom of thought, because you just never know. You never know where the conversation's going to lead towards. And I hope you don't mind the way I may have ventured around today. But sometimes that's how this show is going to be. With that said, thank you very much for listening. Please do send an audio submission. It's greatly, greatly appreciated if you could do that. It'd be awesome. I want to hear your thoughts. Put it on audio. I'll just put it right on here right now. Thus far, this show is just a one-segment shot. And it's probably going to be that way for a while. Maybe forever. Maybe it'll always be a one-segment type of show. It'll probably very rarely be longer than an hour, and oftentimes be less than a half hour. But, well, maybe half of it will be 40 minutes. Half of the time it'll be like 20-ish, like right now. Maybe it'll be a half hour by the time I'm done here. But it's the randomness of this show. Just be ready for a random show. It's not going to be like a set time until maybe I get to a point where I have enough in front of me, enough conversation, this and that, where I'll just do 1 hour, and kind of continue on a weekly or whatever type of basis, if humanly possible. Unfortunately, my wife doesn't really want me doing this show, so I'm hint, nudge on that one. So that's just how that goes. She's a little bit afraid of this type of thing, but at the end of the day, you have to speak out. You have to say something. You have to have the balls to step forward, one way or another. Am I that brave by getting on a podcast and talking? I'm not that brave, but it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. I'm not out there sticking my neck out necessarily, marching to the Capitol or whatever, marching to the Capitol of Minnesota and saying we're not taking a vaccine or whatever. I haven't done that yet, but maybe that day will come. Maybe it will. We'll see. But like I said about the audio submission, all you got to do is open up your smart device, whatever smart device you may have. There should be any free voice recording application on there already built in. Open it, press the record button, treat it like a phone call, talk for 5 minutes, talk for 10 minutes, whatever you like, wherever your mind takes you, as long as it's at least somewhat related to what we're talking about, generally speaking. But it's freedom of thought, as long as it's not insane craziness where it's just 9 billion racial slurs. I don't think I want to put that on here. I don't think that'd be a good idea. Try to stay clean if you could. But, racial slurs. I don't know if we need that. But I don't think so. That's dangerous. Yeah, that'll be the end of the show pretty quick. So, stay sane when you talk. Right? Hit the stop button. Email/share it to paladinolive@yahoo.com. paladinolive@yahoo.com. And then you'll be on here. You'll be on the show, and I'll be very happy to have you. I'll check and see if there were any visitor posts from Mark Carlson or anybody else. There may have been, and I'd hate to miss it if there was. Other than that, join the page, conversate, subscribe to the podcast. Always appreciate those. You'll tell your friends about the show. I understand, again, it's not the best thing out there just yet, but I'm going to try to continue to get better. Yep, Mark Carlson, another thing. There it is, a great interview with Mr. Lindell. That'd be Mike Lindell. Right on target about politics and freedom. YouTube, Pillows and Politics. Mike Lindell on faith, business, and cancel culture. Yep, cancel culture has been a huge problem. And there was another comment there. Yep, there it is, description. The laundry list. Yep, a laundry list of companies including Canada's Home Shopping Channel have stopped carrying MyPillow products, which the company's founder and CEO, Mike Lindell, says is cancel culture at work. Yet, in a wide-ranging interview on the Andrew Lawton Show, Lindell says the company is doing better than ever. Well, that's good to know. Tune in as Lindell and Lawton talk about faith, business, and politics, and Lindale's memoir, What Are the Odds? From a Crack Addict to CEO. Yep, and thank you. Yep, thank you for that, Mark. That's very cool. Very, very cool indeed. Appreciate it 1,000%. I think, I read this on the last episode already. I don't know if I did, now that I'm looking at this. Pretty sure, yeah. I can't get to it. I'll read it anyway, because it's a pretty cool looking quote. For case I read it, I apologize. If not, then I'm going to read it now. Freedom of thought is still possible, but not freedom of speech. Not on this platform. Just think ahead when another year or two in time, how the world will be subdued into corrected speech and behavior because of fear. Fear of being canceled. Interesting, yeah. It's an interesting, scary thought. That's very, very, very much indeed. Very much. Crazy stuff. With that said, I'm going to wish all of you a nice week or a couple of days or whatever it is until the next show. Stay safe, stay sane, as some people would say out there. Obviously, I'm not that worried about the mask. I'm not that worried about this and that. It's good to stay healthy. Take your vitamins. Wash your hands. Usual common sense type of, hygiene, this and that. That's basically all it takes, is just to take care of yourself. That's all. Take care of yourself. Take your vitamins. Don't, and if somebody coughs on you or whatever, be careful, kind of clean up and all that. And that's just how it goes. With that said, I'm wishing all of you a good couple of days here until the next episode. Apologize again if it's a while. It shouldn't be. Take care, and God bless America once again.